Howdy folks, and welcome back to my World of Tanks replays with our mighty Jingles. And today's the day, patch 0.8 or 8.0 or whatever you want to call it is now live on all the servers, and here is the new graphics engine in the garage in all its glory. Quick survival guide for those of you who didn't get on the test server and for whom this is the first time you're seeing all the new features. First thing you want to do is go into your settings, and right here under the game menu, random battle types. When you hit that battle button, do you want to play, well, standard battles, you don't get the choice, encounter battles and assault battles. And what most people are going to do is untick the assault battle button so they never ever have to assault Prokhorovka again, as I have done. Word of warning, if you're platooned up, there are reports that if you're in a platoon you can still get assault games, or whatever you've unticked. They still happen if you're platooned up, and I believe the same also in tank companies. So this only works when you're playing solo. Enable vehicle vibration in sniper mode seems to be on by default as well. I always switch that off just so I'm more accurate when I'm shooting in sniper mode. Graphics menu, here you go. I seem to be getting anything between 50 and 90 frames per second with my setup, which is much better than I was getting on the test server in all versions of the test patch, so they seem to have delivered on their promise to ensure stable frame rates. A couple of things I've done, however, is I've turned shadow quality down to medium, and I've turned off grass in sniper mode and track effects. Track effects are the dust and the smoke that you throw up when you're driving. That can have a big effect on your frame rate, and it just obscures the view. So I've turned that off as well. And then the marker, a lot of people think this is a mod that I run. It isn't. It's right here in the settings. And to see a health bar above the tanks that you're shooting at, well, this is what you need to do. Turn on health indicators. And also for the enemy team, health indicators, all good stuff. And let's have the vehicle tier turned on as well. And of course, reticle, well, I haven't changed it. I have a mod. In fact, the only mod that I've actually managed to reliably get working in patch 8 is my reload timer. For some reason, the old Sixth Sense "it's a trap" icon was causing the game to hang on loading, so I had to remove that. At the moment, the only mod that I'm running on the game is my reload timer, and the link to that is in the video description. I know that it certainly works on my machine in patch 8. Other changes in patch 8, just a very quick roundup. The Stug 3 has the new L70 gun with 150mm of penetration, which is nice. The Panzer IV, well, I've sold my Panzer IV. There it is, 271 games played, master tanker, 52% win ratio, 283 kills and 271 games. I've sold it. I didn't like it on the test server. Gotten rid of it on the live server. Instead, I bought myself a Panzer 3/4, which is exactly the same as a Panzer 4, except better in every respect and has the same gun. And I've transferred my Panzer 4 crew over to it. Now, you'll notice that I haven't actually retrained them for the Panzer 3/4 yet, and that's because tomorrow on the EU server there is a patch 8 launch special on where crew retraining is half price, so I'm waiting for that. Also, you'll be pleased to hear that I have a new addition to my garage. There it is, the IS-7. Scraped together the cash, finally bought it. Also, you'll note I don't have a crew for that yet. The IS-8 crew has swapped over, and loader, yep, I had to pop a KV-1 loader in there as well. And again, I'm not going to be playing this until tomorrow when I have retrained the crew for half price, so it's only going to cost me 1,000 credits for both tanks instead of 2,000. So that's a quick roundup. Now what we're going to do today is we're going to have a look at the T28 Prototype. I've had this thing for a while, I've played a few games on it. It has been one of the most horrible stock grind experiences I have ever encountered. Probably even worse than the legendarily bad VK3001P stock grind, and we'll cover that when we look at the research tree. But for the moment, here is the tank. T28 Prototype, American Tier 8 tank destroyer, and it's not a bad machine. It does take some getting used to though. If you look at the research tree, here we go. Obviously there are two American tank destroyer lines. You've got the ones with the turrets and the ones that don't have the turrets, except for, you know, the tier 6s and below that do have turrets, which is kind of weird, but anyway. And there it is, the T28 Prototype, opposite to the T28, and the difference being obviously the T28 Prototype has the turret. But it comes as a bit of a culture shock when you get your hands on the T28 Prototype, and I'll tell you why. Because the T18 is quick, the T82 is quick, the M8A1 is very quick, the T49 is ridiculously quick, the M18 is stupidly quick, the T25/2 is pretty damn quick. The T28 Prototype does 18 kilometers per hour, and that takes some getting used to when you hit this speed bump on the American turreted tank destroyer line. I mean, you get up the T30, and that, I mean, it's not fast, but 35 kilometers per hour is double the speed of the T28 Prototype. So again, you get a bit of speed going when you get past the Tier 8 speed bump here. But there's no two ways about it. The T28 Prototype takes a hell of a lot of getting used to when you're used to driving things like the M18 Hellcat or the T18, because it is really, really slow. Now, stats-wise, it has 1150 hit points. That's not a lot, and I'm not even comparing it to the other Tier 8 tank destroyers. It's just tank destroyers, generally speaking, don't have a lot of health. And what we're going to do is we're going to compare it here to a Tier 8 medium tank. So this thing has 1150, and the Panther 2 Tier 8 medium has 1450. So tank destroyers don't have a lot of health in comparison to other vehicles of the same tier, and that's certainly true of the T28 Prototype. And World of Tanks definitely needs some sort of do not disturb feature. There'll probably be another 5 or 8 of these chat windows pop up during the course of this review. Sorry guys, this is why you're being ignored. This price of fame happens all the time. Anyway, moving on. We'll be talking about how slow this thing was. It's a 66, nearly 67 ton tank, and it has a 510 horsepower engine. Oh man, this thing's slow. 18 kilometers per hour speed limit, and that's and the acceleration is pretty crap as well. And that's it. There's only one engine upgrade. That's the 510 horsepower engine. The stock engine only has 440 horsepower. The suspension is just as bad, 20 degrees traverse. That's pitifully slow, and the stock suspension is only 18 degrees, and that's kind of bad as well. The turret is pitifully slow too, 18 degrees traverse speed. There's no turret upgrade, obviously. You get the stock turret, and that's the one that you have to live with. But this you are kind of used to, because at least it's 2 degrees faster than the M18 Hellcat, which has an incredibly slow turret traverse. I'm pretty sure the turret on that is hand cranked in the game. I'm relatively sure the real thing had a hydraulically operated turret, but in this game, no way. 16 degrees there. And the T28 Prototype is just a little bit faster, but it's still a really slow turret traverse. Speaking of the turret, this is the first of the American turreted tank destroyers that doesn't have a 360 degree rotation. I'm unsure of the exact traverse, but I believe it's 270 degrees. Basically, the gun will point that far back that way and that far back that way. It will not point all the way back. But still, you know, turret's a turret. The view range, pretty good, 380 metres. The signal range, yeah, not bad, 745 metres. But then we come to the gun and the armour. Now, the armour is pretty good. It's 203 at the front on the hull and the turret. The side of the hull is only 50mm, as is the rear, and that is pathetically weak. Now, the turret is pretty good news all round. 203 at the front, 127 at the side, 101 at the rear, and the turret is well angled and sloped, except for at the front, where that frontal slope is only about 15 degrees, but the gun mantle is very, very good. Now, if you can get this thing hull down, it will do very, very well. And if all you can see to shoot at is the front of the turret of this thing, you're going to have some problems. And the best place to aim is these bits here, where it's sort of, it's the only part that's flat. All it has is that 15 degree slope back from the horizontal. However, you need to be accurate to hit that. You really do need to be accurate, because the chances are you're going to miss, hit the side here and bounce right off, or hit the side here and bounce right off, or hit the gun mantle and bounce right off. You don't have a lot of options shooting at the turret of this thing from the front. Far better to just go somewhere else and get a better angle to shoot at him. Shooting at the front of the hull, you do have options, but they're not great. Now, the lower glacis is a very, very small target, and it's very well sloped. Generally speaking, you want to be putting shots into this machine gun port, but if you miss that machine gun port, it's 203mm of armour. from the front, it is a tough nut to crack. Not as tough as the T28. T28 is 254mm at the front, with a couple of weak spots, but we're not here to look at the T28, it's the T28 Prototype, and that's the trade-off that you pay for having the turret. It isn't as well armoured frontally as the T28 is. The sides and rear are just as crap, but from the front, it's good, but it's not fantastic. So you are still going to have to angle this thing, and again, because the slope at the front is pretty poor. It's only about 15 degrees. However, I mean, you can see the weld lines there. That's a big solid chunk of armour at the front. But as I said, I mean, this is a tier 8 machine with 203mm of armour. The Tiger P is a tier 7 machine with 200mm of armour, and the Tiger P still gets penetrated from the front with difficulty, but it can get penetrated from the front. And it's kind of the same as driving the Tiger P. It's got the same lack of slope, just this great big wedge of armour at the front. And so driving this thing effectively, you have to angle. But because it's so slow, it's very, very easy to get outflanked in this thing. And because it turns so slowly, it's very easy to get outflanked. You really, really need to use this thing with support from other vehicles, or be in a position where your flanks are covered by terrain. Now, that's the armour, which ain't bad. Oh, one final thing about the armour. Artillery loves shooting at the T28 Prototype. Even near misses from artillery will do serious damage to this thing, because shots that miss and hit the sides are going to blow the tracks off, and it's only 50mm of armour, and they're going to do serious damage. Shots that hit the top, if artillery's good enough and lucky enough to get a shot inside that hatch, kiss your ass goodbye. You get one shot killed. Tier 5 artillery and up will one shot kill you if they land a shot inside this big old open hatch at the top. Now the gun. And this is where the T28 grind is significant, because the gun selection is just awful. Until you get this 120mm gun, it's bad news driving this thing. It is seriously, seriously painful. And here's why. If you look at the research tree, your stock gun is a 90mm AT gun. And it's not exactly the same gun as on the Hellcat, but it's pretty much the same gun as on the Hellcat. Trying to play this thing at tier 8 with a 90mm gun is absolutely horrible, and you have to play this thing at tier 8 with a 90mm gun, because you're not going to have the 105mm gun. The only place you will have unlocked that gun, the 105mm, prior to getting the T28 Prototype, is on the T28, and that's on an entirely separate tank destroyer line. And even when you do get that 105mm gun, it's the gun from the T29. It's not strictly speaking exactly the same gun, but again, it kind of is. It's the tank destroyer version of the T29's gun, and it's not great. The stats on that gun, I mean, the penetration is not bad. The damage is all right. The accuracy is all right. The aiming time, however, is pretty good, and it's not terrible playing the T28 Prototype with that gun, because, on the T29 it's a pretty good gun, but you're a tier higher. It's kind of like driving the T32. Tank one tier higher with the same gun as its predecessor, and it's a bit like driving the T25/2 after you've driven the Hellcat. It's less than optimal. So you end up basically playing this thing for a good long while with suboptimal guns, until you unlock the 120mm. And the 120mm is a pretty good gun. I've got to give it that much credit. It's not bad at all. So here it is on the T28, and you're going to breathe a massive sigh of relief when you finally unlock this thing. Now the rate of fire isn't bad, nearly 6 rounds per minute, so it's about a shot every 10 seconds. The penetration is very good. For a tier 8, that's very, very good penetration, 248mm of penetration. The E75 doesn't have that much penetration. And the damage is respectable, again, 400. It's kind of more than the average damage of the IS-3's BL9 gun. Not much more, but, more is more. Accuracy, not fantastic. 0.39. It's on the bad side. It's not terrible. Anything over 0.4 is terrible, but, 0.39 is, you can see 0.4 from there. And the aiming time's okay. 2.3 seconds is alright. That's reasonably good aiming time. You get up to 2.7, 2.9 seconds, and you're starting to look at pretty bad aiming time, and it's certainly way better than the aiming time of the Russian guns. So this isn't a bad gun at all, and once you get this thing, you're pretty much set. It's as good as the T28 Prototype is ever going to get, and it's not a terrible machine, but its major limitations is that speed, and you need to know where you're going to go and what you're going to do at the start of the game, because you're going to see a couple of replays where it's kind of like driving the Churchill, except even slower. If you have a look at the map at the start of the game and you have a look at the enemy team list and you say, okay, there's probably going to be a lot of trouble over here, I'll go this way, and if you're wrong, you're in serious trouble, because it takes you forever to catch up with the fight. So you really need to become a bit of a tactical, analytical genius with this thing. One of the simplest and most surefire way of being successful in the T28 Prototype is looking at the team list, looking at the map, having a look at what's on the enemy team, and trying to predict where, well in advance, you are going to be able to do the most good. Because if you get that decision wrong and you end up going somewhere where there isn't actually any action, it's going to take you the best part of the game to turn around and head back. And 18 kilometers per hour on a good day, even going downhill, I've never managed to get faster than 23 kilometers per hour on this thing. So you need to start learning, if you haven't already, to analyse the team list, analyse the map, decide where you're going to go, and make a good decision at the start of the game, because making a bad decision at the start of the game in this thing is really going to punish you. Now, equipment. Heavy caliber tank gun rammer, definitely. I'll put a camo net on because it's a tank destroyer, and anything that reduces the chance of being spotted is always good. And also, I'm really cheap and I had a couple spare. Third piece of equipment, camo net isn't exactly optimal on this thing because you're rarely sitting still. It's not often you get those maps where you can park yourself at a choke point and just sit there and lie in an ambush, because there's usually some action going on by the time you get there, and you tend to be moving a lot in this thing. So camo net is an amazing idea, but I had one spare and it didn't cost me anything to put it on. You definitely want the large caliber tank gun rammer. An enhanced gun lane drive isn't absolutely necessary. 2.3 second aiming time isn't bad at all, but and 500,000 credits for something that isn't going to offer you that much benefit, I don't know. You cannot fit improved ventilation to this thing because it's an open top vehicle. Improved vents would be fantastic on this thing. Unfortunately, you can't fit it, so that's a no-go again. I haven't noticed particularly many ammo rack problems, so way ammo rack, not amazing. I must admit, I think coated optics are probably your best bet, because a 308 meter view range is pretty good, but seeing them before they see you is always key, and improving that by 38 meters with coated optics over binocular telescope, again because binocular telescope is only when you're stationary and you tend to move around a lot in this thing, constantly trying to keep up with the fight. So I would probably say large caliber tank gun rammer and coated optics are the two essential choices for this thing. For your third choice, well, take your pick. It doesn't actually need anything else. As for crew skills, I always go with camouflage on my tank destroyers, even the big ones, purely because you don't want to get spotted in these things. It's so easy to be outflanked if you're alone in this thing, and you really, really, really need to be able to get the first shot off and dictate the course of the engagement. And so I always go for camouflage. Other skills, yeah, you could. I mean, if you can get brothers in arms on the whole crew, that's fantastic, because you can't fit improved ventilation. So brothers in arms would be great, but again, the whole crew needs it, and it all needs to be 100% before it's ever any use. Other skills, your maximum view range, recon, again, not a terrible idea, but I think you get more benefit out of camouflage, certainly for your first skill. Sixth sense would be amazing. Well, what I'm planning to do as soon as this hits 100% is swap that for sixth sense, because sixth sense is fantastic on artillery and tank destroyers. It's great on most tanks, but it's practically essential for artillery and tank destroyers. As for the gunner, yeah, well, again, I've gone with camouflage. I haven't noticed the gun getting knocked out, so armourer would be a dubious choice. Designated target, yeah, it's a perk. Deadeye again, yeah, it's a perk. I mean, if I could have them, I'd have them, but in the meantime, while you're grinding up to 100% in your first skill, snapshot, yeah, Snapshot isn't terrible. It's not an amazingly accurate gun, but I just feel that camo, you get more value out of it, certainly as your first crew skill. The driver, I've given him camo purely because I transferred him over from another vehicle that actually had decent traverse. But if ever a vehicle was crying out for clutch braking, it's the T28 Prototype. You definitely want clutch braking as your first crew skill on your driver. Screw the camouflage bonus, get clutch braking, make this thing turn faster. Radio operator, same deal. Camo's probably a better value than anything else, although situational awareness isn't terrible either. But camo is probably going to give you more bonus. And as for the loader, as I always say with a loader skills are crap because they don't have any skills at all, they just have perks. Give him camo. Consider changing it to safe stowage once it reaches 100%, but you really can't go wrong with camo. So there it is. Now you're going to find, in fact, if you look at my service record in the T28 Prototype, where is it? Oh, did I just pass it? There we go, T28 Prototype. I've only played 28 games, 57% win rate. Now, in 28 games, I've got 25 kills, and most of those kills, there you go, maximum destroyed in battle, 5. That was a defeat. In fact, that was a defeat today. This maximum experience per battle, 1173. That was also a defeat today. I've had nothing but one long string of massively successful defeats in this game today, on the T28 Prototype. Still haven't got a win on it. Most of those kills came from my last 7 or 8 games, when I finally got this 120mm gun. You're not going to kill an awful lot of tanks in this thing until you get that 120mm gun. It's just a horrible, horrible grind. Unfortunate, but true. But those of us who suffered through tanks like the VK3001P will understand that good things come to those who wait. So let's get some replays under our belt and see how this thing performs in battle. So this is one of my earlier games in the T28 Prototype. That's with the 105mm gun fitted, the intermediate gun. Still didn't have the 120mm. And we're here on Runeberg in an encounter battle. Unfortunately, the team were utterly useless. And you're going to see a lot of that in these T28 Prototype replays. Most of my best games in the T28 Prototype have been defeats. This, however, was the game where I first really got an appreciation of how tough this thing is from the front. If you angle it properly. And you're going to see me facing off against 3 enemy tanks and them just failing to penetrate me over and over and over again when I do eventually get there. But this team was so crap, it just wasn't funny. Speed things up slightly until the action starts. And it's all going to go down on this corner. This is what I'm talking about. When you're playing the T28 Prototype, you tend to engage in the enemy in one part of the map and then you're there for the rest of the game. So there's our first hit. And yeah, we're losing 2-4. Don't worry, we're going to lose worse than that. Now this is bad. Coming around the corner like that, less than ideal. Exposed my flank. Luckily, he was reloading. And there we go. Now that's better. And yeah, you can damage the tracks. It's not a problem. And even if you blow my tracks off there, I wouldn't mind because I was in a good spot. And another bounce, and another bounce. And what I've done here is I've angled my armour against both that T44 over there and these 2 heavies over here. Of course, I'm completely screwed if anything comes up behind me. And yeah, we are losing 2-6. And it doesn't get any better than this. But look at the amount of bounces I'm taking. Right, they just cannot get through this armour angled at that, well, angle. Not even the lurver. And another bounce. And another bounce. Now we finally took some damage. I think it was the lurver. 290 damage sounds about right. And yeah, now we're screwed. Completely screwed. But I mean, look what's behind us. And yeah, we are losing 4-10. But we held this corner like a boss. And this was the game that gave me my first real appreciation of just how tough this tank is under the right circumstances. skip to the end. And yeah, 432 experience, not fantastic. 30,000 credits, not fantastic, but you know, that wasn't the point. We took 11 hits. It took 4 of them penetrating to kill us. We were quite content sitting on that corner until that Ferdinand and the other heavy came round behind us, at which point we were screwed. But you know, we were losing 4-10 at that point, and we actually lost 5-15. It was a pretty incompetent team all round. T43 driver did well, 2 kills. IS3 driver did well, 2 kills, and we did all right holding that corner against, you know, against the odds there. If we'd had the 120mm gun, we would probably have killed some of those tanks, but we didn't, so did the best we could. And that would certainly have been a steel wall if we'd survived. As it happens, the Lerva driver got it from the enemy team, so well done to him. And 8 shots fired, 8 hit the target, as you'd expect at that sort of range. But that's the game that sort of made me think, actually, this thing could take a beating. And we explored that more in later games. So, next up, standard battle on Ensk. Still rocking the 105mm gun, which, you know, it's not a terrible gun. It's way better than the 90mm. The 90mm is just horrible on this thing. The 105, it's alright, it gets the job done. Ensk, one of my favourite maps. Not that I particularly like the map itself. I mean, I don't dislike it, but I just seem to have good games on it, no matter what I'm driving. Except artillery. Not that I drive artillery anymore anyway, but here we go. Tier 8 game, Tier 8 tank destroyer with the Tier 7 gun. So, yeah, we should be able to do okay. And Ensk is one of those maps where, you know, the T28 Prototype loves city maps. But it can do things on city maps that the T28 can't. Because, yeah, it doesn't have as much frontal armour as the T28 does, but you can angle that frontal armour that you can't do with the T28 while still returning fire at the tanks that you're shooting at. So, here we go. First things first. Tiger. And he gets a shot into us. And there you see, he put a shot into our flank, even though it was angled, they still penetrated. And I totally missed that one. And then another shot in the flank. And one thing that you cannot do in the T28 Prototype is go chasing after wounded tanks. Just forget it, that's somebody else's job. Oh, we got bigger problems here anyway. Kiss goodbye to a Jagdtiger 88. There's plenty of big boys around that corner. Nice little bit of teamwork here to get these kills. A couple of Lervas parked over there. So, no sense going around that corner to expose yourself to fire from those other 2 heavies when there's plenty of targets sitting right here.
Enemy armor is destroyed.
Okay, wait for the reload. And now rush out together. AMX 5100. Bang. There we go. Hit him, draw him out. IS3 blows him away in the side. And there's the Tiger 2.
Nice shot.
And bounces off the gun mantle. Great gun mantle on this thing. Now there's 3 of us trying to be the one to finish this fella off. And I'll get the kill. And we're winning quite comfortably, 8-2. It's one of the few games I don't know what it is about the T28 Prototype. It just seems to be an idiot magnet. I tend to get into... Well, that's not true. I do have a 57% win rate in this thing. But my more memorable games in this machine have been the ones where I've lost horribly. Maximum kills in battle on this thing, 5 tanks, that was a loss. Maximum XP in one battle, 1172, that was on a loss. And this one's pretty much all over now. I mean, I get a few more shots at enemy vehicles, but in fact I'm not even sure I do that. And this is what you're going to have to get used to in the T28 Prototype. you cannot chase down enemy vehicles the way just about everything else in the game can. I mean, look at this fella over here in his AC-48. I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. Wait for me, wait for me. Nearly there, don't worry. Oh, and he's killed our IS. Okay, I'm nearly there. I'm nearly there. Wait for me, wait for me. Come on, here I come. Come on, where are you? And he's killed a T-34. Don't worry, I'm nearly there. Hold on, guys. And then our ISU-152 finishes him off. And that's the story of your life in the T28 Prototype. You're constantly trying to catch up to a fight that's over by the time you get there. And that's why deciding where you're going to go at the start of the game is so important in this thing, as it is in the T95. So we'll just skip ahead to the end. And there it is. And that was an 1100 undoubled victory, which wasn't bad. It's not the first win of the day. 11 shots fired, 9 at the target, took 3 hits, 2 of them damaged. That was basically that Tiger. He got a shot into our flank. It was an intelligent shot. He didn't aim for the front. We were angled about 30 degrees, a little bit too much. Sides become penetratable from the front with a frontal angle of 30 degrees. And the Tiger took the right shot, hit us in the side, damaged our fuel tanks. And then there aren't many tanks in this game that can get circle strafed by Tigers. This is one of them. And then that Tiger just zipped around us, put a shot into the flank, and drove past. And we managed to get one pot and shot into him on the way by. And then, that's all you're going to get in this thing. It is not the sort of machine that's built for chasing down tanks, even tanks as slow as the Tiger. Unfortunately, that's something you're just going to have to get used to in the T28 Prototype. So, platooned up with Nukoff and Fracked on Wide Park. IS here driving into me, trying to get past me. Yeah, that's fine, you know, he apologises, it's no problem. Nobody actually took any damage from it, so who cares? Yeah, he slowed me down a little, but when you can do 16, 17 kilometers per hour at the best, getting slowed down a little doesn't really matter in this thing. Now this is a good spot for the T28 Prototype on this map, because you can really put that frontal arm to good use. Pattern, tier 9 game, so good hit on the pattern there. And somebody just bounced off my turret. Oh, he gets away before I can reload and fire again. What gun do I have in this one? Oh, that, friends and neighbours, is the 122mm gun. This is where things starts to get real. And I take another bounce. I can't see you shooting at me. Okay. Probably that. Ah, hello. Bang. There you go. First kill, AMX-12T. Scores a 4-2. We are winning, but this could go either way. Okay, somebody's shooting at that IS, so I need to sort that out. There's that pattern again. Oh, good hit. Oh, what's that? IS-3. And he's aiming at me. And we bounce it. And he's not going to like this. Oh yeah, show me that ammo rack. I don't actually know if we hit his ammo rack, but hey, a kill's a kill. B3, flank shot, aim for the engine, try to set him on fire. Doesn't always work, but hey. Fracked gets a kill in his 45028. And oh, hello. Bye bye ISU. Now this 120mm gun is where the T28 Prototype really starts to feel like something worth driving. You can do okay with a 105mm, but it's not what this thing's about. Now where'd that? Oh, there he is. Looks like the pattern just gave up. And looking at these scores, well, you can't really blame him. Winning 13-3. Oh, they've pulled one back. They've killed a tier 5 light tank. Well done, enemy team. Winning 13-4. And there is absolutely no way on earth I am going to catch up with what's left before it's game over. So I'm just going to park my ass. I mean, I'm lucky to even make it in the capture circle before the end of the game. That's how incredibly slow this thing is. But 4 kills. At this point, this was my best ever result in this machine. Come on, guys, hurry up and kill that fella. There we go. GW Panther blasted him in the face as he came around the corner trying to get an artillery kill. And how did we do in that one? Well, not too bad. Killed a Patton, an ISU-152, an IS-3 and an AMX-12T. So, with the exception of the AMX-12T, we're punching at or above our weight. Damaged the KV-3, and we detected the Patton. No special awards out of that one, but again, over 1,000 XP. That's tripled. Forget which special event was going on. And 8 shots fired, 7 at the target. We took 3 hits, none of which did any damage whatsoever. We didn't even take track damage. Intelligent angling of this thing, shots from the front, very, very hard to penetrate. And so I started to get to grips with this thing, and it becomes a lot more enjoyable once you've unlocked that 120mm gun, because it just does so much more damage and penetration. You suffer a little in the reload, but 400 damage is not fantastic, but it's getting up there with the big boys. But I keep talking about that game where I got 5 kills, and that game where I scored 1200 XP on a defeat. And, well, here they are, both of them, both today. The day that patch 8 went live, and so here it is. The new graphics engine on the live servers. And this is what I'm talking about, where it's important that you decide which way you're going to go at the start of the game. Because if I was to head down this way, because there's always heavy tanks and tank destroyers come up this way to try and flank you. If I was to head down this way and there wasn't an awful lot of enemy there, they'd all rushed up straight towards the cap. It takes an awful lot. I mean, look at this. I'm doing 8 kilometers per hour. Look at the incline. And I can barely get over 10 kilometers per hour going up that tiny little slope. And if I was to head all the way down here and it turned out to be the wrong place to go and all the action was over there, there'd be 5 or 6 minutes of the game left by the time I got there. So you need to be able to look at what's on the enemy team, look at the map you're on, and predict the right way to go right at the start of the game. Unfortunately, the introduction of patch 8 doesn't seem to have improved the average intelligence level of your teammates, so yeah, these were some pretty horrible games. But, you know, I did bloody well in all of them. Sorry, I know, I'm so modest. Penetration, my ass. That one bounced. It's not fantastic. I mean, flank shot. Yeah, missed. Never mind. You kind of have to taking that sort of shot because this thing is so slow. Taking that sort of hit, it becomes a judgment call. Because the time spent stopping, aiming, shooting, reloading, aiming, shooting in this thing when you're not where you need to be is time, well, is it wasted, is it not? And that's where the judgment call comes in. I probably shouldn't have waited where I was to shoot at that Type 59 because he was angled quite well, and the chances of me even hitting him, let alone penetrating and damaging at that range, weren't great. And so that delayed me getting to where I needed to be. Which, if you look at the map, well, you know, going south probably would have been a good idea as well as going this... Oh, sorry, as well as going towards the cap. Well, look at this, we're losing 5-0. And pretty irrelevant which way I decided to go. It really wouldn't have mattered. And again, 3 minutes of the game gone. Before I'm not counting those pot shots I took at that Type 59. 3 minutes of the game gone before I even get within combat range of enemy vehicles, and we're losing 6-0. right through the low. Oof. Helped moving back there a little by the Tiger 2. And right through the lower plate of that Jagdpanther. Set him on fire. Killed him. Great shot. And our IS-6, I don't know where he is on the map. I think he's over there on the back by the deployment zone. He's playing a great. I mean, he's a tier 8 premium tank, doing a great job on the other side of the map there. But he's going to die soon, as is pretty much everybody. I mean, we're losing 3-10, but watch how we pull the scores back here. And now, right, finally, now I can start doing stuff. So. First shot bounces, 1% Jagdpanther, well angled, and they bounce off me. Okay, there goes the Leopard. Now let's get this T44.
Track hit. Penetration.
And of course, everybody behind us is dead, and so we're about to get outflanked by the rest of their team. But look at the bounces we're taking here.
Enemy armor is hit.
Big old blast of damage there on that IS. Okay, he's going to get out of the way. Bang, finishes off the Jagdpanther. 4 kills. Oh, 3601. No, more bounces. Well, let's have a look at that. Look at that. And of course they're all coming around behind us and on our flank now, so we're completely screwed. But we've had some high damage rolls in this game. And here we go. T95 behind me, T59 behind me. 5 kills. And there's enemy tanks left, right. You know it, we're screwed. Can I just get some more? No. There you go. Finished off. Because it was me and a Tiger 2 versus the entire enemy team. But look at the battering this tank took in that match. And there goes the Tiger 2 finished off. Yeah, absolutely awful, awful game. We lost 7-15. If I hadn't been there, we'd have lost 2-15. So, yeah, patch 8 went live and I couldn't get a win in my T28 prototype. But that wasn't the best loss that I had today. That one had the most kills, but a lot of those guys were on low health, and I only gained about... Well, in fact, let's have a look at the post-battle results screen. I think I even recorded it. Well, sorry, no, it turns out I didn't actually record the post-battle results screen for the previous game. That's probably the only downside to patch 8 for me, you know, as a YouTube commentator, in that in previous versions of the game, you get the post-battle results screen in the replay. If you want to see the post-battle results screen from patch 8 on, you have to actually record it after the battle, because it's not included in the replay, which is a bit of a pain in the arse for me. And I keep forgetting to do it, but I'll probably, you know, I'll get into the habit of, when I have a good game that I want to save the replay of, I'll go into the garage after the game and record the post-battle results screen as well. But we took about 20 hits in that game, and it doesn't take a lot. You only have 1150 health. You're in tier 8 vehicle. You're having tier 8, 9 and 10s shoot at you. It doesn't take a lot of hits to kill you with 1150 health. They just have to penetrate, and that's by no means assured when you're driving this thing. So here we are on fjords, and it does look gorgeous. Now this is very, very risky. It's very risky in any vehicle when you're driving past this open road here, even more so in the T28 prototype, because if there's anybody getting ready to shoot down that road, I'll guarantee they're in position by the time you drive past. But we got away with that. Now we can see enemy heavies on the other side of the road. This was, you know, as I already said, this was a loss. However, this is my highest ever XP in the T28 prototype in this game, and that was on a defeat. If this had been a victory, I would probably have gotten my ace tanker badge out of this game, and it would have easily been over 2,000 experience. But here we go. And it was quite a horrible loss. Well, it wasn't as bad as the previous one on steps, but it wasn't very good. I mean, no, that's not strictly true. I've had great losses. Some of my best games have been defeats. I had an amazing, my very first Bolter's Medal game on the Yak Tiger was a defeat. I had an incredible defeat on Sand River in the AMX 1390. I got a Bolter's Medal in a Type 59 defeat. This wasn't that good a defeat, but it was pretty good. Okay, so external camera angle, just so you can see the... that is not an ideal angle. Far too much of my side exposed, but they were all reloading, I got away with it. There we go, and I did it again and I paid the price, straight through the flank, and I have to use a repair kit to get my ammo rack back up. So, have I learned my lesson? Am I going to angle more intelligently as I come around the corner this time? Well, still no. Luckily, they're bouncing off my turret because they haven't got the gun depression anymore to hit my hull. And now I'm finally, as I'm approaching the corner properly, I start to angle more intelligently. Wondering why I haven't been shot at by artillery yet, to be completely honest. There goes their IS. Well, at this stage, you know, 4-3. As I said, this wasn't a terrible game. But as happens so often in World of Tanks, there's a good bounce. When things start going wrong, they start going wrong really, really fast. And another bounce. Commander's hatch. Bang. Yak Panther 2 finishes him off. Thank you. 6-6. Still anybody's game. But if you look at the deployment of where they all are, and where the survivors of our team are, yeah, here it goes. And for some strange reason, artillery has actually fired at everybody except me. And I'm probably the easiest thing for artillery to kill in this game. And yeah, hey, I'm not questioning it, I'm just grateful. And then suddenly I'm all alone down here with a very, very badly damaged 2%. KV5, I think, behind me up there. Oh, he gets a hit into me. See where it hit there? Just underneath the star. That actually went through a weak spot. Tiny weak spot. You lucky bastard. He bounces again. Come on, come on. There we go. Tiger P finishes him off. Oh, it's a Tiger P behind us. No, it is the KV5. I really need to sort out my vehicle markers. And again, yeah, this wasn't a terrible game. Team did alright. So there's an IS-3, there he goes, it's just finished off a T25/2, and that over there is an SU-152 on 100%. So I want to kill the IS-3, but I can't expose my flank to this guy, because that would just be silly. So trying to blow his tracks off doesn't work. Take half his health off though, so you know, I'll settle for that. And he has the derp gun. Pretty sure all he can see to shoot at is my turret, but I don't want to make it too easy for him, so he fires, bounces off my turret and we kill him. But that IS-3 knows where I am now, and I'm probably only going to get one shot. Here it comes. Bang. And I'm on 11 health as he penetrates. There ain't no way I'm going to survive this. And there you go. Attack was destroyed by a collision. Artillery actually killed me and got a kamikaze badge out of it. Now it did save the post-battle results screen for this one, so let's take a look. And the detailed report screen, there you go, that tells the story. Shots fired 15, direct hits 15, penetrations 15. There's a really, really good gun. That 120mm gun really rocks the house on this thing. It's definitely the gun that the tank was made for. The 105 is just a stopgap. It's purely there just to make grinding the XP for that 120mm gun bearable. The 90mm is horrible. One of the worst stock grinds in the game, this tank. But it is definitely worth it when you get there. I mean, you know, look at this. 9 hits received. A couple of those penetrating hits at the start because we weren't angling properly as we came around the corner of the mountain at the beginning of the game there. And then obviously when the IS-3 got around us, there was no way we were not going to get penetrated. Very lucky that artillery didn't seem to take much of an interest in me, despite the fact that I'm probably one of the easiest things and one of the most dangerous things on on our team for artillery to kill. But damaged 8 enemy vehicles, 3 of which we destroyed. Did nearly 5,000 points of damage to the enemy team. Took 9 hits. Fired 15 penetrating and damaging hits. Great result. And so I would probably have to give a cautious thumbs up to the T28 Prototype. I hated it at first, absolutely hated it, and you will too when you're playing this thing stock with a 90mm gun, because it is a completely hateful machine. It is absolutely horrible until you get the 105mm gun, when it becomes merely bearable. But this thing really doesn't come into its own until you unlock the 120mm gun. It's kind of like the ISU-152, which is just a poor man's SU-152 until you unlock the BL-10, and then it becomes godlike. Well, this 120mm gun, it ain't no BL-10, but it makes the tank fun to play. It's the right gun for this machine, and you better get used to it because you're going to be using it on the T30 as well. I initially wasn't going to carry on any further down the American tank destroyer line when I got this T28 Prototype, because it is just so horrible with the 90mm gun. But I'm kind of changing my mind now, and I would have to give a cautious thumbs up to the T28 Prototype. If you have been playing the American tank destroyers, the turreted line, the Hellcat, the T25/2, and you're wondering whether or not you need to bother getting this thing and going any further down the line, I would say yes. But it's nothing like a Hellcat. It's nothing like a T25/2. It's a complete... This thing is a speed bump on the way to the T30. Pun intended. You really, really are going to take time getting used to the way this thing drives, because it is so incredibly slow. And tactical awareness... being able to analyse the map and the battlefield and the enemy team list and decide where you're going to be of the most use to your team are key to driving this thing successfully and having fun driving it, because it ain't no fun driving halfway across the map only to find out there's no enemy tanks there and they've all gone the other way and you are too far away and too slow to do anything about it. And that pretty much sums up the T28 Prototype. Get it in the right place in the right time and you're going to have a lot of fun with this tank. Fail to get into the right place at the right time, and it's going to be one of the most frustrating things you've ever driven. So that was the T28 Prototype review, American Tier 8 turreted tank destroyer. I hope you enjoyed the replays. Take care on the battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.